This is the Professor, CBMD PhD, and today's Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. It is 5:45 and 39 seconds, p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and today's research, UFO evaluation. So let's hop to it here. Evaluation of sighting reports was recognized as a crucial step in the preparation of data for statistical treatment. Inconsistent evaluations would have invalidated any conclusions to be derived from this study. A method of evaluation was, therefore, determined simultaneously with the development of the questionnaire, the coding system, and the worksheet. It is emphasized that all phases of evaluation, even including the tedious preparation of the original data for statistical treatment, were entrusted only to selected, specially qualified scientists and engineers. The evaluation consisted of a standardized procedure to be followed for 1. The deductions of discrete facts from data which depend on human impressions rather than scientific measurements. 2. The rating of the observer and his report is determined from available information. And 3. The determination of the probable identification of the phenomenon observed. Categories of identification established upon the basis of previous experience were as follows: balloon, astronomical, aircraft, light phenomenon, birds, clouds, dust, etc., insufficient information, psychological manifestations, unknown, other. The first step in evaluation, the deduction of discrete facts from subjective data, required certain calculations based on the information available in the sighting report. An example was the finding of the approximate angular velocity and acceleration of the object or objects sighted. Care was taken during this phase of the work to ensure against the deduction of discrete facts not warranted by the original data. Thus, even though there was a complete lack of any valid evidence consisting of physical matter in any case of a reported, unidentified aerial object, this was not assumed to be a prima facie evidence that flying saucers did not exist. In those cases in which an attempt to reduce the information to be a factual level failed completely, the report was eliminated from further consideration, and thus not included in the statistical analysis. About 800 reports of sightings were eliminated or rejected in this manner. Most of these reports were rejected because they were extremely nebulous. The rest were rejected because they contained highly conflicting statements. The second step in evaluation, the rating of the observer and his report, logically followed the first step, the reduction of the data to usable form. Ratings were assigned on the basis of the following factors of information considered in relation to one another. 1. The experience of the observer deduced from his occupation, age, and training. 2. The consistency among the separate portions of the description of the sighting. 3. The general quality and completeness of the report. 4. Consideration of the observer's fact-reporting ability and attitude, as disclosed by his manner of describing the sighting. In cases in which insufficient information was available to make a judgment of the observer or report, none was made, but the report was accepted for the statistical study. The third step in the process of evaluation, the attempted identification of the object or objects cited, was done twice, first by the individual who made the transcription of the data, the preliminary identification, and later the final identification by a conference of 4 persons, 2 representatives from ATIC and 2 from the panel of consultants. Although representatives of ATIC participated in making the final identifications, it must be emphasized that any previous identification of a sighting made by ATIC was not introduced or referred to in any way. During an identification conference, each sighting report was first studied from the original data by one person. If that person arrived at a decision, it was checked against the preliminary identification. If the 2 identifications were the same, the report was appropriately marked and considered finished. If the 2 identifications did not agree, the report was considered later by everyone participating in the conference until a group decision could be made. If an evaluator was unable to categorize the report as one of the common objects or as a natural phenomenon, and his opinion was that the sighting should be recorded as unknown, a group decision was also required on that report before it was considered finished. A group decision was necessary on all reports finally recorded as unknown, regardless of what the preliminary identification had been. In cases where a group decision was not made within a reasonable time, the report was put aside and later submitted to certain members of the panel of consultants for their opinions. If after this disagreement continued to exist, the report of the sighting was identified as unknown, upon completion of final identifications, all data were transferred to IBM cards, preparatory to analysis. This video was created for educational purposes only. Codename Will, Professor Christopher Brunet, Leader of Research, Scientist, Ufologist, Psychic, Computer Programmer, Computer Technician, Philanthropist, Writer, Mathematician, Artist, Photographer, Film Producer, Chef, Animal, and Nature Lover. Passion, World Peace. Hope you enjoyed listening. Until next time, have an excellent day. This is a Professor, CBMD, PhD,